I died on a Tuesday night, choking on the bitter irony of my own ambition. My fingers still sticky from the cheap takeout I'd scarfed down in the glow of my laptop screen. The noose I'd fashioned from my favorite Hermes scarf, ironic, right? The one my mentor gifted me after that big win, tightened like a bad joke. And as the world faded to black, all I could think was how I'd let them steal everything. My code, my trust, my goddamn life. But death isn't the end in Silicon Valley. It's just a pivot, a hard reset. And when I gasped awake in my old studio apartment, the alarm blaring 6:47 a.m. on the morning of the demo that would have been my triumph, I knew I'd been given a second chance to burn it all down. My name is Gabriela Ruiz, and in my first life, I was the golden girl of Apex Innovations, the hottest AI startup in Palo Alto, where dreams of disrupting the world came with stock options and free kombucha on tap. I'd clawed my way up from a community college dropout in East LA to lead dev on Project Nexus, a neural network that promised to revolutionize predictive analytics for Fortune 500s. It was my baby. Lines of code I'd birthed in sleepless nights, fueled by Red Bull and the faint hope that one day, I'd prove to my deadbeat dad that his Nina Sin Futuro had made it. But Apex wasn't a meritocracy. It was a viper pit disguised as a campus, with glass walls and ping-pong tables hiding the knives. That morning, as I bolted upright in bed, sweat soaking my tank top, the date on my phone confirmed it, September 15th, 2023. The day before the launch event at the Computer History Museum, where VCs and tech bros would fawn over our demo. In my old timeline, I'd arrived at the office buzzing with nerves, only to find my commit revoked overnight. My code, flawless, innovative, replaced by a sloppy patchwork from Marcus Hale, my supposed best friend and co-lead. Marcus, with his Ivy League smirk and trust fund safety net, had always been the charming one, the guy who networked while I debugged. But that night, he'd framed me for a security breach, claiming I'd introduced a backdoor that could have tanked the company. Lies. All of it. He'd lifted my algorithms wholesale, tweaked just enough to slap his name on them. And when HR called me in at dawn, they fired me on the spot. Embezzlement of IP, they said, as if I were the thief. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, splashing water on my face, staring at the 28-year-old version of myself, olive skin flushed with resurrection's fire, brown eyes wide with the weight of foreknowledge. My hands trembled as I gripped the sink. This wasn't a dream. The scar on my thumb from that childhood bike crash was still there. The faint tattoo of a binary heart on my wrist mocking me. 1 if by land, 0 if by sea. I'd inked it after my first hackathon win. Now, it felt like a war cry. I had 24 hours to rewrite history, to expose the rot at Apex's core. But revenge isn't clean. It's a virus, replicating in the dark corners of your soul. And I could already feel it coating itself into my veins. Dressed in my power armor, a crisp white blouse and black slacks that screamed, "Don't fuck with me," I grabbed my laptop and headed out. The drive to Apex was a blur of Highway 101 traffic, Bay Area fog clinging to the windshield like unfinished thoughts. My phone buzzed with texts from the past, Marcus. All emojis and "can't wait for tomorrow." Gabs. We're gonna crush it. Elena, my roommate and reluctant confidant, reminding me about rent. And then, the anonymous burner I'd set up in my despair, a draft email to the SEC. Half-written, accusing Apex of data laundering. That's the secret they'd buried, the real betrayal. Nexus wasn't just predictive, it scraped user data from shadow servers. selling profiles to the highest bidder, skirting every privacy law in the book. I discovered it months ago, buried in Marcus's commits, but loyalty blinded me. I confronted him privately, begged him to come clean. "It's just business, Gabby," he'd said, eyes cold as venture capital. "You want to be a player or a whistleblower?" Player. I chose. Whistleblower got you cancelled. Parking in the employee lot, my badge, still worked. Thank God for small mercies. I slipped into the building like a ghost. The open plan office hummed with pre-launch frenzy, devs hunched over monitors, marketers chugging espresso, the air thick with the scent of dry erase markers and desperation. I nodded at familiar faces, forcing a smile that didn't reach my eyes. First stop, the server room. Biometric scan bypassed with a backdoor I'd left in just in case. Inside, the hum of cooling fans was my heartbeat. I jacked in, fingers flying across the keyboard, auditing the Nexus repo. There it was, Marcus's fork. My code mangled, timestamps faked to make it look like his genius. But deeper, the shadow scripts siphoning petabytes of unencrypted data to offshore accounts. Proof. I mirrored it all to a hidden drive, encrypted with keys only I held. Back at my desk, I plotted. Straight sabotage? Too easy. Too petty. No. This had to be surgical. A demo crash that peeled back the facade, exposing their overconfidence like a glitch in the Matrix. The presentation was scripted. CEO Harlan Voss. That silver-haired shark with a TED Talk under his belt, unveiling Nexus Live to a room of influencers. Marcus handling the tech demo, inputting queries to showcase real-time predictions. If I slipped in a recursive loop, subtle, tied to their vanity metrics, it'd overload on a high-profile query, spewing error logs laced with those shadow script traces. Not enough to crash the servers permanently, but enough to make national news. Apex AI flops. Privacy nightmare expose. Controversial? Hell yes. I'd be the villain in their narrative, the disgruntled ex-employee. But in mine, the architect of justice. Lunch was a non-event, sushi from the cafeteria, eaten alone while eavesdropping. Harlan's office door ajar, his voice booming on a call. "Yeah, Ruiz is out. Marcus has it locked. We're golden. Golden." The word twisted in my gut. Harlan had greenlit the data scheme years ago, back when Apex was bootstrapped, whispering promises of equity to keep us loyal. I'd believed him, poured my soul into Nexus, only for him to cash out early, leaving us to the wolves. Marcus was his protege, groomed to take the fall if needed. But not this time. Afternoon blurred into code sprints. I volunteered for final QA, my voice steady as I synced an innocuous patch to the demo build. No one questioned it. Why would they? I was still Team Apex. Right? Wrong. As the sun dipped low, casting golden hour across the cubicles, doubt crept in. What if I was wrong? What if the data grab was a one-off? A desperate pivot? No. I'd seen the ledgers in my first death, millions funneled to Harlan's Cayman accounts. This wasn't survival, it was greed. Pure American dream distilled to its toxic core. By evening, the office thinned out, excitement building for the all-nighter ahead. Marcus sidled up, clapping my shoulder. "Gabs, you're a machine. Couldn't do this without you." His cologne, that same citrusy bullshit, made my stomach churn. I wanted to grab his tie, force-feed him the truth, how he'd slept with my girlfriend behind my back, then used it as leverage to keep me quiet.
Wait.
No, that was Elena?
No.
In the haze of timelines, it blurred. Focus. Gabriella. Smile. Wouldn't miss it.
Mark.
Let's make history. As I drove home that night, the fog thickening, I felt the weight of the noose again, not literal, but metaphorical. The pressure of choices. Tomorrow, I'd pull the trigger. But revenge is a double-edged algorithm. Input betrayal. Output chaos. And in the code of my second life, there were no do-overs. Sleep evaded me like a buggy loop, my mind racing through simulations of tomorrow's fallout. Curled on the futon in my cramped apartment, posters of Ada Lovelace and Grace Hopper staring down like judgmental ants, I sketched contingencies on a napkin. Escape routes from the demo hall. Burner accounts for leaks. Even a vague plan to ghost to Mexico if it all went nuclear.
But doubt?
It compiled errors in my chest. Was I becoming the monster they accused me of being? In my first life. After the firing, I'd spiraled, drowning in whiskey at dive bars off University Avenue, scrolling LinkedIn for jobs that ghosted me, until the noose whispered sweeter than any job offer. This time, I'd weaponize that pain, turn it into precision strikes. Still, the what-ifs looped. What if the crash hurt innocents? The junior devs, the interns who'd bought the hype? Dawn broke with a vengeance. My alarm klaxoned to war. I showered hot and fast, emerging armored in a red sheath dress, bold, unapologetic, the color of warning signs. Makeup minimal, winged liner sharp as my resolve, lips stained like spilled code. Breakfast was black coffee, chugged while reviewing my patch. It was elegant, really, a Trojan in sheep's clothing, triggered only on queries involving executive vanity, like Harlan's golf handicap predictions or Marcus's dating app success rates. Harmless fluff, until it wasn't. Then, the logs would bloom like digital graffiti. Data exfil detected. Recipients, Voss Harlan at Cayman Shell LLC. The office was a madhouse by 8 a.m. Uber's disgorging bleary-eyed staffers clutching prototypes. I dove in, feigning enthusiasm, debugging peripheral glitches to stay close to the core. Elena cornered me by the Keurig, her pixie cut tousled, eyes narrowed. You okay?
Gee?
You look like you saw a ghost. Elena, my rock. Or so I'd thought. In the old timeline, she'd been in on it, feeding Marcus intel on my late nights, jealous of my spotlight. Or was that paranoia? Timelines tangled like crossed wires. I hugged her tight, inhaling her lavender shampoo, whispering, "Just nerves." Big day. She pulled back, suspicious. But the ping-pong tournament distracted her.
Good.
Compartmentalize. Mid-morning, Harlan called a huddle in the war room, a fishbowl conference space with whiteboard scrawled in expo markers. He paced like a general, his Brooks Brothers tie askew, barking timelines. Nexus isn't just software, it's the future. Predictions that pay dividends, literally. Laughter rippled, but I caught the edge. The VCs circling. Rumors of acquisition by big tech. Marcus stood beside him, projector remote in hand, demo script memorized. Our eyes met, and for a split second, I saw it, the flicker of unease, like he sensed the shift in the matrix. Gabby, run the sim one more time, he asked, voice casual. I nodded, heart hammering as I triggered the clean build. Flawless. My poison slept, waiting. Lunch was catered chaos. Poke bowls and kale salads wolfed down at standing desks. I slipped away to the rooftop terrace, the bay glittering mockingly below. Wind whipped my hair as I lit a rare cigarette, contraband in this wellness cult, exhaling smoke like secrets. That's when the controversy brewed in my mind, the decision that could make or break this. Leak the data proof anonymously now, via WikiLeaks or a Reddit AMA.
Safe.
But toothless. Or go nuclear at the demo, forcing Harlan's hand live. The latter screamed lawsuit, doxing, maybe jail. But the former? It'd get buried in PR spin. No. I needed the spectacle. The viral clip of overconfident execs scrambling as their empire glitched. American as apple pie and cancel culture. Back inside. Tension ratcheted. A junior dev, Timmy, kid from Ohio with dreams bigger than his receding hairline, flagged a latency issue. It's like the model's second-guessing itself, he muttered. My patch. Bleeding through? No. Just jitters. I patched it over. Buying time. But it planted seeds. Whispers spread. Is Nexus ready? Harlan's riding high. Marcus pulled me aside in the hall, his hand on my arm too familiar. Hey, remember that night in Tahoe? You and me against the world. Tahoe, where he'd confessed his harmless data side hustle, swearing it was for user insights. I'd bought it then.
Now.
I twisted free, smiling like venom. Always.
Mark.
Against the world. The afternoon dragged in feverish prep. We trucked gear to the museum, massive servers in Pelican cases. My laptop nestled like a grenade. The venue was tech porn, vaulted ceilings, exhibits of ancient computers glowing like relics. Staff buzzed, setting stages with LED backdrops pulsing Nexus's Azure logo. I volunteered for sound check, embedding the final hook, a query alias in the UI. Predict my success, primed for Harlan's ego. As dusk fell, the crowd trickled in khaki-clad VCs, podcasters in ironic tees, a smattering of press from Wired and TechCrunch. Elena sidled up, champagne flute in hand. This is it.
G.
Your moment. Hers too. Unknowingly. Harlan's opening remarks kicked off at 7 p.m. sharp. Spotlight hot as judgment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the dawn of predictive perfection. Apex Innovations isn't building tools. We're building tomorrow. Applause thundered. Marcus took the stage next, sleek in a button-down. Demo laptop open. Let's see Nexus in action. First query, stock trends. Seamless. Crowd oohed. Second, weather for a dream wedding. Butter.
Then.
Harlan, mic in hand, predict my success at this very event. The room chuckled his signature shtick. Marcus typed it in, smirking my way. Off stage. I held my breath. The screen flickered.
Not yet.
It hummed. Spitting projections. 95% chance of funding round closure by midnight.
Cheers. But I saw the lag.
The fans whirring harder. One more. Marcus. Emboldened. And for me, predict my next big break. Enter. The model paused.
Then.
Error cascade. Lines of code scrolled unbidden. Anomaly detected. Unauthorized data exfil to external entities. Logs attached. Voss Harlan _transfer 2023 PDF. Gasps rippled. Harlan's face drained of color. The screen now a confetti of red flags, IP addresses, transaction hashes, all pointing to the shadow servers. Chaos erupted. Phones whipped out, filming the glitch fest. Marcus hammered keys. Sweat beading. Technical hiccup, stand by. But it was too late. The poison bloomed fully, projecting a damning flowchart, Apex's data pipeline, siphoning souls for slush funds. I slipped into the shadows, heart-pounding triumph, as security herded the crowd. Harlan's eyes scanned, landing on me, accusation dawning. But before he could point, Elena's voice cut through. What the hell? Marcus? I told you to kill those scripts. Her confession, raw in the panic. Twist 1. She'd been the mole, not just complicit, but the architect, leveraging our friendship for access. Sirens wailed distantly. Cops. Feds. I bolted for the exit, adrenaline surging, the night air cool against my flesh skin. Revenge tasted like ash and victory. But the real build-up? It was just starting. They'd hunt me, spin me as the saboteur. Fine. I'd coded my escape, a trail of breadcrumbs leading back to them. As I melted into the Palo Alto streets, Uber app open, I whispered to the stars. Game on. The getaway was pure instinct. A subroutine I'd scripted in my mind 100 times. Ditch the phone in a dumpster behind the museum. Hop a lift to the Caltrain station. Vanish into the late-night commuter haze. Palo Alto's streets blurred past, manicured lawns and McMansions mocking the unraveling empire I'd just torched. My red dress felt like a target, so I shed the jacket, stuffing it into a bush, emerging in just the sheath, arms bare to the chill. Elena's outburst replayed in loops. I told you to kill those scripts. Not Marcus, the mastermind, but her, the friend who'd crashed on my couch after breakups, who'd toasted my promotions with cheap tequila. Betrayal squared, layered like nested functions. In my first death, she'd visited once. Post-firing, all crocodile tears. He made me
Gabs.
It was him or us.
Now.
I saw the code. She'd been skimming too. Her own side hustle on the data. Jealousy fueling the frame job. Caltrain rattled south. Empty car smelling of stale fries and regret. I pulled up a VPN on my backup burner, prepped weeks ago in the old timeline, and seeded the logs to dark web forums. Anonymous drops to ProPublica. By midnight, Twitter or X, whatever Elon called it now, was ablaze. Apex crash trending. Clips of Harlan's meltdown going viral. Tech darlings AI demo implodes. Privacy scandal? From The Verge. I allowed a ghost of a smile. Overconfidence exposed. Their house of cards folding live. But elation soured quick. Notifications pinged from a shadow account. FBI tip line flooded. My name whispered in the code comments I'd left as Easter eggs. Saboteur. Gabriela Ruiz. Revenge for firing. I'd framed myself as the fall guy to draw fire from them. Controversial? A gambit that could land me in Quantico's guest suite. San Jose station spat me out into neon-lit anonymity, where I caught a Greyhound East destination, nowhere specific. Just away. Seat by the window. I watched the bay fade, mind dissecting the high. The crash wasn't just tech, it was personal. A mirror to my own flaws. I'd ignored red flags for years. Harlan's late night, strategy sessions reeking of scotch. Marcus's evasive commits. Elena's two perfect alibis. Greed had infected us all. Valley virus turning innovators into opportunists. My decision to trigger it live? It'd cost jobs. Shattered dreams. Timmy, the junior dev, now unemployed,
Cursing my name.
Was justice worth the collateral? In the dim bus lights, Doubt compiled. Maybe I was no better. My revenge a selfish debug. Dawn found me in Fresno. Motels cheap and questions cheaper. I checked into the Desert Rose under Maria Lopez, cash only. Room smelling of bleach and old regrets. Laptop open. I monitored the fallout. SEC Dawn raid on Apex HQ. Harlan in cuffs for questioning. Marcus lawyered up, denying everything. Elena? Ghosted. Her LinkedIn scrubbed. Twist 2 hit via a leaked email chain. She'd been Harlan's lover. Not just pawn, uploading my code to his private repo for safekeeping, then twisting it into the frame. The betrayal cut deeper than code plagiarism. It was intimacy weaponized. Our sisterhood a lie. I slammed the laptop, pacing the threadbare carpet. Tears came hot. Unbidden. Grief for the Gabriella who'd trusted. Who'd built without barriers. But pity parties crashed too. By noon. A knock. Housekeeping?
No.
A shadow in the peephole. FBI badge glinting.
How?
My patch had breadcrumbs. Sure. But I'd routed them through proxies. Paranoia spiked. Someone tipped them. Elena? Or worse. Me subconscious sabotage? I bolted out the fire escape. Heart in throat. Sprinting through alleyways lined with precarious and chain-link fences. Legs burning. I hit a public library, blending into the homeless and hackers hunched over terminals. Quick search. News wires screaming. Apex whistleblower at large. Ruiz sought for questioning. Portrait sketch of me. Unflattering. Next to Harlan's mugshot. Public enemy #1 in tech circles. Hiding meant pivoting. No more lone wolf. I reached out to an old contact. Javier from my LA hacking days. Now a cybersecurity prof at UCLA. Encrypted signal. Need exfil. Got dirt that buries empires. He replied fast. On it. But, gee. This is felony territory. Walk away. Walk away? After the nooses bite?
No.
Javier arranged a dead drop, burner phone at a coffee shop in Bakersfield, and a ride south. As I waited, sipping sludge Java, controversy brewed internal. Expose everything, including my role, a confessional Medium post. Owning the crash as righteous hacktivism, it'd humanize me. Maybe rally the underdogs. Or silence. Let the feds connect dots. Paint me martyr. The former screamed vulnerability, the latter, isolation. Night fell as the pickup arrived, a nondescript sedan. Javier's grad student at the wheel. Wide-eyed. You're her? The one who tanked Apex. Admiration laced fear. We drove hard, weaving freeways toward the border. Radio droning scandal updates, lawsuits piling, VCs pulling funds, Nexus forked open source by white knights. My doing? Indirectly. But the real twist dropped via Javier's forwarded file, autopsy for my first death. Not suicide talk screen showed GHB, slipped in my takeout. Marcus. Or Elena. The noose? Staged mercy kill after they'd roughed me up for the drive's keys. Murder. Buried as despair. Rage rebooted. Pure binary fury. Border crossing was a blur, coyote contacts greased. False papers holding. By Tijuana dawn. I was across. Salt air of Ensenada washing clean the valley grime. Safe house, a cliffside villa Javier's network owned, overlooking Pacific swells. There. I rebuilt, not code,
but self.
Days blurred into therapy via smuggled sessions, journaling the pain, Dad's abandonment echoing Harlan's betrayal. My code as armor against invisibility. The decision crystallized. Go public. Full truth. No more shadows. Weeks later, from a Mexico City cafe with VPN veils, I dropped the manifesto, the crash I coded, why I burned Apex to save it. Embedded, unredacted logs. My suicide note rewritten as indictment. Elena's emails as proof. It exploded, TED-level TED Talk in text. Interviews requested from 60 Minutes. Controversy peaked. Was I hero or hacker? Protests outside Apex ruins. Ruiz was right, graffiti on Santal Road. Harlan plea bargained. Ratting Elena. Marcus vanished to Dubai. Tail between legs. Twist final, an encrypted message from Timmy. Your patch saved me. Saw the exfil early. Quit before raid. OU. Collateral redeemed.
One soul at a time.
I didn't return triumphant. No victory lap in Palo Alto. Instead, I pivoted. Open source Nexus's ethical core from exile. Consulting for startups on integrity. Revenge? It crashed their demo. Exposed the hubris.
But rebuilt me.
In this second life, success wasn't stock options, it was scars that coded stronger. As Ensenada sunsets painted the sea gold, I raised a tequila to ghosts mine. Theirs. To resets, I toasted. The noose was silk now, a scarf fluttering free.
And damn.
It felt American, flawed, fierce, unbreakable.